Yeah. So AutoCAD starts in the top view, so I'm going to change it to front.
Okay.
And now I'm in the front view. You can't really tell. Let me turn that off. Okay. And I'm also going to go to 3D modeling from the workspace menu. If you don't see that workspace menu, you got to make sure it's checked from the little pull down list with its little triangle with a line above it. So we check workspace, and then you have these workspace settings. And so I go to 3D modeling, and it changes the ribbon. All those drawing tools are here, but we also have some 3D tools that we'll play with. Work with. And so I'm going to draw the front view. So I've changed it to the front view, and just.
What did you use to? You went to that little square up on top.
Yeah.
And you went to tools.
No. Do you, let's see. Do you see that little pull down? It's a little downward pointing triangle with a line above it.
This is weird.
Yeah.
Oh, this.
Yes. And check workspace. Okay. See, it's a drafting annotation. Now there's a little pull down right next to that. We use 3D model. Okay. It changes your ribbon. Now we're going to change. We're good on the front. Another thing to do. Thank you. Nice.
Thank you.
So another thing to do is get rid of that insipid, that's a good word for it, view cube on the right. I hate that thing. So go to the view menu and uncheck view cube. It's that, because that probably says front on your view because you already went to the front, or maybe it says top. Yeah, mine says top and I'm in the front view. Like, what's up with that? So ignore it. It probably has some good function or whatever, but with your mouse controls, I don't see a real need for it. So anyway,
Click it.
Yeah, just uncheck that.
Okay.
And also the navigation bar. We never use that. We zoom and pan with the mouse almost all the time. So that stuff, there is some use of that later, but yeah, just clear your screen. It's nice. Okay. So because we're drawing in 3D, we're actually going to start in 2D, right? So I go to the front view, which is a 2D view, and I'm going to draw that slanted shape, okay? But I also want to draw it with using a polyline, not just a regular line, right? So instead of L space bar, I would use PL for polyline. It's actually two kinds of polylines, but this one's just PL space. And I'm going to draw this thing. It looks like it's 2.5 inches tall by 5 inches long. So 2.5 up and down. Well, I start at the top left corner of this front view that's not there. And I go down 2.5 inches over 5, up. Actually, I can start over. I'm going to start at the top left corner, but I'm going to go left the 2 inches, and then down the 2.5, and then over 5, and then up. That has a little end on it, 3/4 of an inch, and then I'll close it. Just C space. That way, I didn't have to there's no angle I have to worry about. I just started at one end and went around and closed it, and so it drew that slanted line for me, without me having to worry about how long that is.
So that top line on top is what size?
Yeah.
2?
Yeah. Do you see why it's 2 in the drawing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go 2 up and then 2.5.
Yes.
Vertical?
Starting at this corner where my cursor is.
You go
2 left.
2 left.
2.5 down. You see why? And then 5 to the right. Then 3/4 up. So I'm using the other views, right, to get those numbers. So, okay, There's only one dimension I have not used yet. Anybody figure that one out? Out of all those dimensions in that problem, which one hasn't been addressed? Right, I've covered the 2. If I look at all the numbers in there, I've done the 2, done the 5, done the 2.5, done the 3/4.
3?
I don't see a 3.
So 2.5 would be 2.5, right?
Uh-huh.
And then 5. And then 3/4.
Yeah, you don't even have to draw it. Just C, space bar, and you're done.
Okay. Got it. 2.5 down, 5 across, 3/4 up, and then just connect it.
So here's the fun part. So we've drawn the front view basically, right? But the top and right side views are not there. So let's hold the shift key down and pan, right? This is panning, right? Just holding your middle mouse wheel down. And then holding the shift key down rotates that. So we can see that it only has 2 dimensions to it, right? Yeah, hold that shift key down while you pan. Before you pan and while you pan.
How do you pan? Hold this button, hold it down.
Yeah, the middle mouse wheel is a mouse button also, right? So you press it and hold it. Don't roll it, but rolling zooms, right?
Then hold the shift right down.
Hold the shift first and then pan.
Oh. That,
Okay. So I'm gonna get to a nice oblique kind of view of this thing, like so I can kind of see that it has some depth, sort of, right? So I'm gonna get at an angle where I can see all 3 axes. My cursor is now red, green, and blue for X, Y, and Z, RGB, X, Y, Z. That was a Michael Jackson song, I think. Okay. Anyway, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna select the polyline, right? And I'm gonna use the extrude tool, which is just right there. EX would work too, I think. And that gives it depth, right? And we know how big it is because that's the only number we haven't addressed here is the 1.5, right? So I'm gonna type in 1.5 and enter. And there it is, I'm done. I drew the thing. I modeled it.
Wow.
But it's not drawn yet, right? It's modeled, but I haven't made a drawing out of this yet.
Which poly did you use, the POL or PL?
Yeah, PL is polyline, not polygon, right? So POL is polygon. Yeah.
Cool.
That's the one you use?
PL, yeah, for polyline. Okay.
And then you said extrude?
Yeah. And just so you know, you can change, oh, we talked about this before, but just to remind you, you can change the viewing style, if you want, visual style as they call it, to some sort of shaded model where you can see the solidity of it. Right. So I prefer to keep it in wireframe. It's just less likely to crash the computer depending on what kind of graphics card you have. Anyway, so we're ready for creating our multi-view drawing like it is in the book, right? So off to the right of your home ribbon, you see where it says view. Mine's kind of compacted because the projector resolution isn't as good, but so I'm gonna choose base. Do you see where it says base?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are 2 things you can do. You can pull it out of another AutoCAD kind of file. Autodesk Inventor is a 3D modeling program also for manufacturing kind of stuff. Anyway, model space is actually the space we're in, right? if you look down at the bottom, you see model. Down the bottom left over here, you see it says model layout 1, layout 2. We're in what's called model space. Okay, so I click model space. And actually, I need to not be in model space so I can actually lay something out, right? So I'm going to go to layout. And this is like my preview, right? My print preview, if you will. So it already has like a viewport in this, right? So I'm going to delete this. I don't want that one. It's too big. So now I have a blank piece of paper, right?
How'd you get there?
So see where it says model down there, those tabs at the bottom?
Yeah.
I went to layout 1. And then I just selected the border of that viewport. I see my object in the viewport. You can't select your object. I mean, you kind of can, but anyway, I'm going to select the viewport and delete it. And then I'm going to go to view and choose my base view from the model space, whatever's in model space, which is just that one thing. And it's going to build that in, right?
How'd you delete that?
Oh, we selected it.
Yeah, you click on it, just the border, right? Because you can't click on that. You can't select that object in there, right? But you can the edge, the border around it. That's the viewport, and just hit delete.
Then you went back to model space.
Nope, nope. Stay in layout.
Okay.
Go back to now. Go to view and base, and for model space.
Model space?
Yeah. So we're gonna get our front view, right, from model space, which is that's how it builds it. So once you click on that, it should give you that front view floating around at your cursor.
How?
You got it.
Shoot. I need to delete this whole thing. It's like a white page. So like this.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to put my front view. I'm going to lay this thing out the way I think it ought to be laid out, right? So right here, in the lower left, if I think of this and make room for my title area. So click there, maybe. Now I have some options here. I can change the orientation, right? So if I drew it on the top view or something, I could have just changed the orientation, or I can change its scale. Actually, the way it is right now is good, so I'm just going to hit exit. And now it goes right to projecting the other views, which is so cool, right? So top view, just going to click above it, click to the right of it for my right view, and let's add an isometric view, a 3D view of it up in the upper right corner over there. Just pop it in there. Of course, I could go left view, bottom view. That's about it. And these other isometric views, which I don't need. So just when I'm done, those are the only views I need, and hit space. And now it turns it back to a 2D drawing, right? So there's my drawing.
Wow.
So
Cool.
yeah, so instead of having to draw, that front view and the top view and the right side view, we can generate those views just from that model. So, okay, there's a few other things to worry about here. The spacing between views is important. We want equal spacing between the top and the front and the right. So I'm going to move those around a little bit. Also, the scale, I don't think that scale's correct. Let's look at the scale. Right now, when I select that view, the primary view there, the front view, it gives me the arrow, and I can click on it and I can look at the scale. And right now, AutoCAD automatically picked it at 1:2. So half scale, I don't think so. I think 1:1 works. I think I can still fit all that stuff in there. Maybe not that view, but
1:1.
yeah, let's go full scale here. It'll fit on the page. Maybe not that other view. I'm not going to worry about that for now. In fact, maybe I could change that one to 1:2, and then the rest of them go full scale. That would work, I guess.
How do I move? 1-to-1 scale.
That 1-to-1 scaling kind of moves our drawing off the paper.
Yeah. So let's move it around. So I'm going to position this a little bit better. Everything else is going to move with it, so or kind of move with it. So I'll just put it right there. It looks pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to pick the top view, and I need, let's try 1.5 inches between views and see what it does. So M, and I pick that bottom corner, and it'll snap to it. There it is. There's 0 between views, right? There's no space between views here. So let me move it one more time. I'm going to move it up 1.5 inches. So I'm just going to click off to the side here and go straight up 1 inch, 1.5. I think that'll fit nicely. Likewise, I'm going to change the distance between the right and the front view by clicking on the right view and moving it. I'm going to move its corner to the corner of the front view first. Click it again, space, just click somewhere else, or you can click on it, but you know, it's easier to me if you just click below it or something, just off the part, and just type in the distance it needs to go. And there it is. So now I know that there's 1.5 inches between the front and the top view and the same amount between the front and the side. It's pretty good, in my opinion. Is that right?
Now, what about that bigger, that one up on the top corner there? What size do you get?
Yeah, you can choose, just click on that arrow and choose something else, right? Here's 1 to 20.
Oh, okay.
That's probably a little bit too small.
Yeah, 1.2.
Yeah, 1 to 2, right?
1.
Yeah, that's a colon, so that's a ratio.
Hey, Brian, how can you find the distance between each one?
There's a couple ways. One is you could just draw a line, right? Start at the corner and draw it up 1.5, and then just move the top view to the end of that line. Or that's like a construction line, right? Or you can do what I did the first time, was just select the view and move it to, see, so I use the move tool and I pick the lower left corner of the right side view, pick it up and put it right at the lower right corner of the front view, and see how they're right next to each other now?
Yeah.
No distance between them. So I'm going to move it again, right? So click on it, space to start the move tool again. Put my cursor somewhere else maybe, and move to the right, type in 1.5, enter, and that'll move it 1.5 inches to the right. So there it is. Next step. You got it? Did it work? Okay. We're gonna add our border next, so we'll wait. I want to add my border, right? So I, space, insert, pick up your border, which it was on the other screen, so you didn't see that, but whatever. It's good enough. And I just make sure that my border's inside these margins for whatever printer I'm using, I guess.
How do I downsize that?
Well, see, that's the beauty of doing it this way, is that you shouldn't have to scale anything. Now, if the drawing's in the way, right, because I was just guessing. See, I don't like how close my object is from my title block over here. So I'm going to move them. So I'm actually going to just select them all. And I don't need the move tool this time. I'm just going to grab its edge and just kind of move it. Now they're going to all move in tandem, right? So they'll keep that 1.5 inches between themselves, right? So you just select them all and just kind of drag them around. Same thing with this isometric view. I kind of want to get it away from the border a little bit more, and that looks pretty okay. So I have about equal spacing, nice equal spacing between the border and the top view, and between the top of the title block and the bottom, you know, of the right and front views. Looks pretty well balanced, I guess, right? Know what I mean?
A lot better.
Yeah. There we go. So just edit your border, right? Title, name. Well, your name probably doesn't change, but the date, the title, The scale, what's the scale?
Quarter.
Remember what the scale is, right?
Oh,
1.1.
It's 1:1, it's full scale, right? So we're good, yep. So 1:1, that's why we put the default 1:1. And this is drawing number, I don't know, what did we pick for drawing number?
I think you said 2.
Hmm?
I don't know. Drawing number, okay, yeah, number 1.
I think we're on like 20 something, or maybe more. Anyway, I'll look it up, but that's how you do it. Another advantage of doing it this way, like building the multi-view drawing from a 3D model, is that the printing goes a lot easier. Let's see what goes on here. So when I go to print, I'm just going to make a PDF out of it, right? And we'll pick the full bleed, ANSI A, landscape, and that's it. See, the scale's already 1:1. The layout area, what to plot, since you're in layout, it's going to go to layout, and let's just preview it. It's a little off. So I can't center it though. What if I can go window? Let's preview that. That didn't work either.
Do I put it plot style, monochrome,
Yeah, make sure we do monochrome.
and 1:1, because everything I previewed it with a,
Yeah, mine's not looking so good.
so I just push OK.
Oh, I know why. Okay, so I changed this. The layout didn't know what I was going to do to print, right? And so I picked this ANSI full bleed. I changed the paper and the printer. So what I want to do is also apply this to the layout.
So and it's
Yeah,
full bleed.
yeah. And that readjusts the margins, and now it looks okay.
Yeah, that's how mine.
So let's, yeah, okay. So it probably even gave you a notice saying, do you want to apply this to your layout? So there. And you would say yes to that, and then it would work out okay. So monochrome makes it just a black and white printing. So there you go. Now you can make a PDF out of that thing, and it's all ready. Okay, so because I'm taking the difference, the 10.4-inch border and 11-inch paper, that's 0.6 of an inch. Half of that is 0.3, so I'm shifting the thing over because I can't center it. It won't do it for me for some reason. And the difference between a 7.8-inch border and an 8.5-inch paper edge is 0.7 of an inch. So half of that is 35 hundredths. And then that looks pretty wonderful. So I'm gonna go with that. Instead of the window actually seems like it's cropping my border a little bit, the thickness of the lines even. So there, that should work. I'll add that to the layout so I don't have to worry about it. And we're good to go. On to the next one. Resume recording. Okay, so the question is, well, one is, notice I accidentally drew mine on the top view and now it's laying on the floor. That only becomes a problem when you go to layout. Now I was able to salvage it because I could double click on that and go to, well, I can't change its orientation now, I guess. But when you insert a view from model space, see, this is what I got. This was the front view of that top view. And so that's like the bottom view. So I could hit O space and then choose top view as my current view. And that way I can produce my drawings, right? I don't want to do that because I already did it. But I'm not answering your question yet. Okay, so go back here. So how do you go from this extruded view? I'm going to rotate it real quick because it's hard to see this way. So I'm going to pick the base view, rotate around the X and 90 degrees counterclockwise, pops it straight up. Okay, so now that actually screwed up my layout. See, now everything's upside down. So what I'm saying is whatever changes you make in model space actually affect the paper space, your layout view. So I would have to redo this. But anyway, back to your question now. I want to unextrude this, in other words.
Yes.
Okay. And my question is, well, you can't really. You can undo until you get there. But my question is, why? Because, and I asked that because this allows you to, because it's a polyline, you can edit that polyline. I have the grips to do it, right? So I could just edit the lines if I want to. So I might suggest trying that if that works. Did that answer the question or no?